It's the case made famous worldwide.
This is a Global Tel-Link prepaid call from
Adnan Syed
By the podcast Serial. Listeners were obsessed and left dying to know if Adnan Syed, already in prison for 17 years for murdering his ex-girlfriend, Hae Min Lee, is guilty or innocent. Now, new evidence and a new trial.
In my opinion, this has always been one of the city's great miscarriages of justice.
But many wonder, will that day ever come?
This is a battle that, based on the record, should not result in a new trial.
17 years ago, Woodlawn High School was home to a diverse group of best friends in the Magnet program.
We were a close-knit group of people. We all were in the same classes together, so we hung out together a lot, both inside and outside of school.
Within this tight group of friends were high school sweethearts Adnan Syed and Hae Min Lee. Hae was very popular, an honor student and athlete.
She was very charismatic. She was full of life. She was just one of the sweetest people.
Adnan, also very popular, was a football player, honor student, and prom king.
Adnan was very outgoing. He was friendly with everybody. He would go out of his way to make sure that people would laugh or smile.
Saad Chaudhry, who went to a different high school, knows Adnan from the mosque.
We have similar experiences growing up, Muslim, Pakistani, here in the US. We both played football, we both were popular in our high schools. So it was just similar lifestyles, so that's what kind of made us a common bond.
Both Adnan and Hae grew up in traditional families. Adnan was Pakistani-American, Hae was Korean. The differences in their religions and ethnic backgrounds meant, sadly, there was no real future for them as a couple.
Without a doubt, there was a point in time in which they were very much in love. But I think they came to that realization that this isn't something that was going to work out beyond high school.
Like a lot of teenagers, Adnan and Hae broke up and reconciled a couple of times. The final breakup was hard on Adnan.
There would be times where he would, call me upset or just want to talk. And it wasn't ever anger, it was more of sadness. I need help getting over this.
Despite some heartbreak, Adnan and Hae remained the closest of friends and soon became interested in others.
She just expressed that there was this new guy that she was really into, that they had started dating, and kind of how dreamy he was.
He started going to parties and meeting girls in college, and he started, really looking forward to the next step of life.
But the next step for both would prove to be devastating. The day was like most others. According to Adnan, he goes to school, then leaves driving to his friend Jay's house. Jay was going to be borrowing Adnan's car for the day.
Jay was not part of our group. He just had a different personality than somebody that I would surround myself with.
Jay was older and dating Adnan's other good friend, Stephanie.
He was a weed dealer, he worked at a porn shop. I think Adnan was being extra friendly to Jay, so Jay wouldn't think that Adnan is trying to get with his girl, or there's nothing going on between Stephanie and Adnan.
Jay drops Adnan back at school and keeps Adnan's car and cell phone. The school had a no-phone policy. After school, Adnan says he goes to the library, then track practice. After practice, Jay picks Adnan up, and they go to another friend's house. Later that night, Adnan brings dinner to his father at the mosque. Krista had a normal day too, and that night, as usual, she called her friend Aisha.
She just, in passing, said, you haven't heard from or talked to Hae, have you? The only thing I said to her was she was supposed to give Adnan a ride after school. And Aisha said, well, I know that didn't happen because something came up.
No one knew what came up, and no one knew where Hae was. Some thought she might have been with her new boyfriend. Adnan told Saad he hadn't seen her.
The police did contact him, so he was somewhat concerned, like, where did she go? What happened with her? But she was dating someone else. So he was just like, I haven't heard from her. I don't know where she is.
But a few days later, Krista would become extremely worried when Hae failed to show up for her birthday party.
She had talked about, she wasn't going to miss it. And for her not to show up, there was just a sinking feeling.
The days ticked by. The search for Hae intensified. Then almost a month later, everyone's worst nightmare. A guy walking in Leakin Park, almost 8 miles from Woodlawn High, stumbles upon a partially buried body in a shallow grave. Tragically, it was Hae Min Lee. She had been strangled to death. When Krista learned her best friend had been murdered, she was hysterical. Soon after, she called Adnan to tell him the terrible news.
And I said, they found his body. And there was literally silence on the other end of the phone. Like he couldn't even catch his breath.
The friends gathered to console each other.
I just remember there's a lot of crying, a lot of, Adnan saying, this can't be her, we need to call somebody. This can't be the right person, this cannot be real.
Not wanting to believe Hay was dead, Adnan called the Baltimore police.
He called the detective from Baltimore County that had been working the missing persons case to get some more information, and when he called, he started crying. I kind of took the phone from him. The lady on the other end of the phone said, well, you're gonna have to call back and talk to homicide tomorrow morning.
And that same night, there was one burning question Krista didn't ask, but Syed did.
I was like, do you have anything to do with this? If you do, get a lawyer. Shoot, your game is over. The body was found. This is insane, And he totally was like, no, dude, you're crazy. Chill out.
Coming up, cops did anything but chill out after one friend turns on another.
My friend Laura was paging me, 911, 911. They had the wrong guy.
So who wrote, "I'm going to kill"?